Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And in this video, I wanted to speak about this adjustment by Oppenheimer to the target of the stock price, upping it from 160 to 190. I wanted to speak on the reason why they are potentially doing it and why most are going to do that, adjust the price target, and then why T-Mobile is looking at the buybacks and what kind of rating should they be expecting once they start doing the bigger stock buybacks. And I'm predicting or assuming that eventually they'll also start a dividend payout once they grow to what the numbers are projecting them to grow to. So the outperformance rating is based on, from most analysts during T-Mobile's analyst day, which was about 3 hours and 38 minutes, lots of information, lots of questions, lots of answers given. A lot of people still skeptical, but a lot of people know that this pedigree is going to work because it's a proven pedigree. T-Mobile has been the growth leader in the wireless industries for years. It's not a secret anymore. There's proof in the pedigree and the strategy that T-Mobile is pursuing here. The only thing that T-Mobile is doing, they're further accelerating, and that's why they continued saying during the merger process that they are supercharging the Un-carrier, because they are getting into segments that they never strongly competed in. That is the upside that the analysts were looking for, and that's what got the analysts believing that T-Mobile is going to get to the goal that they want to reach. So 25% increase in synergies already. That's a fact that's happening. So they're accomplishing the synergies, realizing the synergies ahead of schedule. That is one point. So that's a massive take from that. That's T-Mobile's under promise, over deliver strategy. They've been doing that on the network, and now it looks like they've pretty much been doing that as a overall company. So the original numbers that they were speaking of and projections that they released at the beginning when the merger process started, you can throw that out the window. That is completely not the case anymore. Everything now is different. They're projecting to reach everything ahead of schedule. And let me kind of break that down. So they are predicting to reach free cash flow of 18 plus billion by 2025. Yes, I know that sounds like still ways to go, but as you guys know, it's quick. Time's flying by. 6 months in the wireless industry is a long time. So 18 billion free cash flow. That's massive. That'll be the most free cash flow, of course, that T-Mobile has ever gained or had as a standalone. So that's what they're shooting towards. $65+ billion revenue intake. That's likely lowballing it, is what they talked about during the Q&A session. They're likely going to hit a number closer to 70. So how do they get there? What's the secret behind it? Are they making these numbers up? And it's really all going to come from the growth, and the growth that they're going to obtain is all upside. It's not something that they're going like back and forth with. It's literally starting point 0 and then going to 5, then 10, 15, 20, and whatever else they can obtain. So they're, again, rural expansion is a segment that they never competed in. Not strongly anyway, for that matter. They got into some smaller rural towns, but the network outside of some of those rural towns just wasn't there. So they never proceeded to add any retail presence. They just put up a tower or two in those towns, and that was pretty much it, because once you got 20, 30 miles outside of that town, your coverage just wasn't there. So that's now a segment that they want to strongly compete in with this merger, and they anticipate to take 20% of that share. Again, that's on the lower end. That's a lower end projection. Another segment that'll be massively lucrative for them is home internet with fixed wireless. They'll get there very quickly. Right now, I predict they're 2 to 3 years ahead of their peers in Verizon and AT&T. So that means every day goes by, they're scaling fixed wireless. Wherever they add 2.5, they can scale it very quickly. They're at 125 million pops covered now. They'll accelerate that to 200 by the end of year, and that activated 60 million households to have availability of the home internet, which is launching commercially at the end of this month. That's more revenue intake. Again, they're starting from scratch. Yes, they gained 100,000 customers during the pilot stage. They were, and the massive number here that I think is undervalued is they were able to convert 35% of that base to wireless. Those were customers that were using AT&T and Verizon likely previous, and T-Mobile was able to convert them to wireless. That's a big number. If they can continue that trajectory and that projection, let's just say the home internet increases in numbers. So now next quarter, let's say they do 400,000 and they get 35% of that to go to wireless. That's massive. And that is the main reason why they added T-Vision. I guarantee it. So now they could say, hey, look, you're getting our home internet because you didn't like your ISP, but guess what? We also have wireless and we got TV. Now you deepen, and they mentioned this very strongly, now you deepen the relationship with the customer. What does that do in return? It lowers your churn because that customer now doesn't want to get out of that. They're going to be like, I got TV, I got wireless, and I got home internet. If it works and it's a solid product, it delivers on what they're promising, the consumer is likely to keep it. So that's another way to gain perception as well. In a lot of these areas where they use fixed wireless and it works, the customer's gonna be, well, wait a minute, if their fixed wireless is working here, then I can likely use them for wireless too. And it seems that's exactly what's happening. So that's another area of growth, all green, all upside. And then the next one is business. That's another one that they spoke of, and they lowballed it in its entirety as well. They've never strongly competed that on the business segment at all. In fact, just to give you guys some numbers there, Sprint had more business customers than T-Mobile. I'm not going to give you guys any exact numbers, but just to throw that out there, Sprint competed stronger on the business market versus T-Mobile. So that's all upside. So as they continue penetrating those segments, I mean, the growth is insane, and they're still competing for a apparent mature wireless market. They're still growing there, and they're going to grow in all these other segments too. It's already proven 100,000 ads on the home internet. Remember, Verizon has yet to release any numbers, so it's a very justifiable increase to go from 160 to 190. And coming right off of the analyst day in a couple of weeks, we'll have earnings again. And then, T-Mobile is going to be able to share more numbers there. I predict towards the end of this month, when they go commercial with the home internet, they're going to start marketing it big time. So I expect their growth to double on that product. It's going to be a massive, massive investment. And something that they did discuss there during the Q&A is that Neville now has a head start. That's kind of why they wanted to wait and keep it in pilot stage, because now Neville has a head start, and he's going to be able to expand the network to where the demand doesn't catch him. So he'll be able to grow to 200 million and then beyond, because right now he has to start touching sites outside of the urban suburban environments to get to that 200 million. So the network is going to be very busy over the next 24 months. So to kind of break it down to you guys that are still here watching the video towards the end. So over the next 24 months, it's a very critical investment. So they are going to be at the top end of the CapEx for this year and next. So that's 24 billion. If I think they hit the 12 billion per year. They get to 24 billion. What are they projecting the remainder of the merger integration cost to be? They're projecting it to be at 15 billion. So they're projecting to spend an additional 15 billion to complete the merger integration. That includes the entire anchor network to be fully upgraded, and the Sprint sites to be the Sprint Keep sites to be fully upgraded by the end of 22. That leaves them with roughly around, over the next 24 months, 9 billion to expand into rural America. So that's kind of I talked to a few people, then I watched the presentation again last night, and that's kind of what I summarized. That's what they're projecting, and I think they get there. I really do think they get there. That's the most they've ever spent as a standalone. They're accelerating that over the next 2 years. Do I necessarily agree with the lowering of the capex? No, I don't agree with that. But again, that's something that they're projecting. Their business model fits in with those numbers, so be it. Will Verizon and AT&T have to spend more? Yes, Neville stated that during the presentation. He says they will have to modernize the radios. They will have to continue modernizing the panels, so they'll be able to accelerate that and do more on their end. They are behind. They're going to try to catch T-Mobile. T-Mobile is ahead, like I mentioned. I think it's 2 to 3 years. And if they continue accelerating, even getting into the C-band, as they mentioned, starting from 2023 to 2026, they want to start deploying C-band. And the 9 to 10 billion projection on the capex includes that cost of the rollout of C-band. So they are projecting to be ahead by a significant margin and continue keeping that lead in the 5G space going forward. So that's kind of where I'm at with T-Mobile. I think the raises of the stock target price is completely justifiable. I mean, at the end of this, they'll have 85,000 macros, mostly for densification. They'll build an additional 10,000 for rural expansion and just expansion period. But a lot of those 85,000 macro sites are going to be for densification. So Sprint really didn't have a large network to begin with. So a lot of those keep sites that T-Mobile is pulling from Sprint are in suburban, dense urban areas. It's just a fact. There will be some that'll gain coverage for them, but a lot of those sites are going to be for densification. So they'll likely have, at the end of this, to be honest, they'll have the most densest macro grid out of its peers. So Verizon additionally densified using small cells, and AT&T as well now, but T-Mobile will likely have the most densest macro grid that we've ever seen in the United States once they're able to capitalize on the Sprint keep sites over the next 24 months. So let me know what you think about that in the comment section down below. Just wanted to briefly discuss that with you guys today. If you have been on the channel or you're new to the channel and you have not yet liked, shared, subscribed, make sure you do so. Hit the notification bell so you are notified when I do upload content. Make sure to follow the social media outlets for more updates and interactions. This is Tyrone with Tech Live. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.